On News 5 Live, a bloody Father's Day weekend. 3 men are gunned down in Belize City between Thursday and Sunday. Torrential rains brings flooding towards Orange Walk District, and NEMO is activating to assist flood victims. These stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
Always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
A mobile service provider that allows you to stay connected with fast, reliable LTE coverage anytime, anywhere. Whether it's just to catch up with family, to share that experience with your one special friend, or to manage your small business. Whatever's your thing, you deserve to have the best mobile experience. Now you can do even more while on the go with the increased anytime data allowance in Digi's mobile postpaid plans. You now enjoy 8 gigs of anytime data starting at only $55 monthly. Or share up to 120 gigs of anytime data with up to 6 of your closest friends. That's more LTE data for you to enjoy during the day, nights, and weekends. No restrictions. So keep your gigs up with more data plus unlimited talk and text in all Digi postpaid plans. Visit a Digi store near you to sign up today. All you need is a valid ID and proof of address. It's time to get on Belize's fastest mobile 4G LTE advanced network. Visit livedigi.com to find out more, or hit us up on WhatsApp or Facebook. Digi, our national telecom.
To bring the energy and entertainment back to Tuesday nights. It's time for the return of KTV The Remix. We're looking for new talent for this year's competition. Auditions will be held at Channel 5 Studios in Belize City on June 25th and 26th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You must be 16 years or older. Bring your best voice and come TV ready.
Shop brands you know and trust, like Kohler. Welcome, GE Appliances. today at mile 3 on the Philip Golson Highway or call us at 223-3768. Design Depot. All in one place.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Monday, June 20th. I am Sabrina Daly. There was a murder in Belize City on Sunday, and tonight police are in the old capital bracing for reprisal as the shooting victim is the son of a well-known street figure. Shortly before 3 o'clock on Father's Day, Benjamin Hyde Sr. was making his rounds visiting his daughters when his life was callously taken by a gunman who emerged from a nearby property, while Hyde was riding a bicycle near King Street and East Canal. Police are exploring the likelihood that the shooting death of Hyde may be related to an ongoing feud between gangs in that neighborhood. News 5's Isani Cayetano reports.
A deadly shooting on Father's Day bookended a spate of violence that has claimed the lives of 3 men in separate incidents. On Sunday afternoon, Benjamin Hyde Sr. was shot and killed as he rode his bicycle towards his daughter's home. He was blindsided by a gunman who fired multiple times at him.
Police responded to a scene on the corner of King Street and East Canal, where they saw a 49-year-old Hyde, suffering from apparent gunshot wounds all over his body.
According to Hyde's nephew, who spoke with us on the condition of anonymity, he had gone to pick up a plate of food from another of his daughters. Upon leaving the area, he was met with a hail of bullets.
Unfortunately, on his way to the daughter whose birthday is over this weekend, he was chance out of it, because there's no better way to put it. You know what I mean? So, hence the reason why it is a bit difficult to find the words to put it together so as to describe what went on yesterday.
How did you guys become aware of the incident? You got a call, someone came by the house and said, look, Mr. Hyde got
We learned of it through the social media. That's how we learned of it. And then we later got a call that led us to the crime scene. Unfortunately, when we got there, he was still there lying there. So that's how he was identified by us.
It's a tragic end for a man who, by his family's account, troubled no one. Assistant Superintendent Fitzroy Yearwood shares preliminary details of this latest case.
The initial investigation revealed that sometime around 2:58 p.m., he was riding his bicycle on King Street, heading towards Albert Street, when a lone gunman suddenly came out of a yard and fired several shots at him, making good his target.
Notwithstanding his son's infamy, the police department is doing what it can to solve this homicide and prevent retribution.
We are looking at several angles, but definitely that is the first angle that we are examining, knowing that his son is rival with the other gang that belongs to that area where he was shot. I mean, we have to pay that special attention, because this, of course, could become very volatile, and we have prepared ourselves for any type of retaliation that they might try to come with. And we're going hard after both gangs involved in that dispute.
Hyde's family, on the other hand, gives its assurance that his death will not be avenged.
The social media in particular, along with combined with the media houses, the different media houses, have already thrown it out there that there will be some kind of retaliatory behavior. We're not that kind of people. We're not that type. So we're in no way aspiring retaliation.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
On Friday night, a barrage of gunshots rang out on 6th Street in front of a Chinese restaurant where two young men had gone to purchase food. It is believed that the men were trailed to that location, and while waiting in their vehicle for the food to be prepared, someone opened fire on them, injuring 28-year-old Akeem Bermudez and killing 26-year-old Jeffrey Buller. Both men are associated with a well-known Belize City gang, despite the fact that police are treating the deadly shooting as an isolated incident.
Police responded to a scene on 6th Street near a Chinese restaurant, but when they arrived there, Buller was already transported to the KHMH A&E. We know that Buller and another male person, Bermudez, were at the restaurant on 6th Street where they ordered food and were approached by a gunman who fired several shots in their direction, causing several body injuries to Buller. I know that Bermudez was also hit, but not life-threatening, and Buller succumbed to his injuries a few minutes later at the KHMH.
Does the police believe that this murder was gang-related, given that Mr. Buller is no stranger to the law and he was allegedly involved with the BLC gang in Martin's area?
Well, what we know so far, we have two persons detained. They are saying that it was an isolated incident, not gang-related, something that transpired between Buller and these two parties earlier that night. And it would appear that these persons may have followed them and made good on their target now.
Are these two persons known to police?
Like I said, we have them detained as soon as I'm able to give out the identity. I'll make all that known to you.
Police are still looking for two men whom they believe were involved in the murder of Glenfort Vernon on Thursday night. He was socializing with several others on Dolphin Avenue when a pair of men on a motorcycle arrived on the scene. This was after a verbal exchange moments earlier. Vernon, according to police, was a victim of circumstance. All indications are that he was not present at the time of the argument, but was there when the gunmen emerged.
On Thursday, the 16th of June, around 7:16 p.m., police visited the KHMH accident and emergency area, where they saw 44-year-old Glenn Vernon suffering from apparent gunshot wound to his left rib cage area and to his thigh. Mr. Vernon was placed on life support, where he succumbed later at night to his injuries. Initial investigation revealed that he was at the residence of Gonzalez and Alvarez on Dolphin Drive in Belize City when two men on a motorbike approached, where one of them opened fire, causing his injuries. And where police have interviewed several persons so far, but no real detention as yet.
We know that Mr. Vernon wasn't the intended target. How have the police been able to ascertain what led to the shooting?
Well, like I said, apparently in his presence, in his absence, the persons that he were associating with had a problem with other persons known to them. And apparently these persons returned, unbeknown to Mr. Vernon, that something took place before he arrived there. So when we know that he couldn't have been the intended target because he had no knowledge of what took place before.
Coming up, Carmelita is flooded after heavy weekend rains.
Taking its name from the venerable father of the nation, the George Price Highway stretches 77 miles from Belize City to Benqueviejo. Originally built in the 1930s, this cross-country highway system is the artery that links Belize to Central America at the western border with Guatemala. That connection facilitates overland trade, supporting Belize's economic development. Winding its way across the scenic countryside, the George Price Highway from Roaring Creek to Esperanza has been fully reconstructed to meet international standards, with particular emphasis on road safety. A shorter and hassle-free commute is best enjoyed when everyone obeys the traffic laws. To reduce the number and frequency of road traffic accidents, it means that a seatbelt must be worn at all times and the speed limit observed when traveling along the highway. It also means that pedestrians must use sidewalks and crosswalks where available. Buses should only board and discharge passengers at a designated bus stop. Road safety is everyone's responsibility. It begins with you.
Babe, have you seen the advisory that NEMA just posted? There's going to be a storm.
Storm? It's not a storm. That's just a little rain. We'll be all right.
Thank goodness that was only a simulation. But what if it wasn't? Consider this. You've worked hard building your future, your family, your business, your home. RF&G Insurance has policy options that can protect your most valued assets so that you can focus on what matters most. Include RF&G Insurance in your hurricane prep. Remember, it pays to get it right with RF&G Insurance, a Road Group company.
It's Super Handy Dad's month again at Brothers Habit and Habet and Habet, and that means super deals and super gifts for that super special dad. And we're bringing the power to all Super Handy Dads all month with 15% off all power tools and accessories from Stanley, Black & Decker, DeWalt, Skill, and Bosch. And 15% off our entire brand new line of Track automotive batteries. Super powerful! Plus super clearance deals on Westinghouse lights, select paint colors, and much more. So come in today to Habet and Habet and Brothers Habet this is Super Handy Dad's month and pick up these super deals at Super Savings.
Over 10 10 inches of rain fell over the Orange Walk and Corozal districts on Saturday and Sunday. This led to severe and unprecedented flooding in several communities within those districts. The intense rainfall came as a result of a low-pressure system that passed over the country. Carmelita Village in Orange Walk District was one of the hardest-hit communities, with at least 25 families affected by floodwaters. While the floodwaters receded within 2 hours, many families within the community are still attempting to recover from the loss they experienced. News 5's Paul Lopez was in Carmelita today. He filed the following report.
Rain, rain, and more rain. A weather system that passed over the country this weekend brought with it heavy rainfalls. In northern Belize on Sunday afternoon, some areas, including Santa Marta and Carmelita, experienced up to 1.5 feet of rainfall, resulting in severe flooding.
Well, the flooding and the rain start like around 4 and like 5:30 to 6. Water start to come up like crazy and gone in the house like almost 12 inches high in the house.
Wow, so what kind of damages happened in the house?
Well, all the electric tools I may have in there and get wet up. And all the groceries my mom may have there and get wet up, everything.
David Fernandez and his parents live along the Philip Golson Highway in Carmelita Village, just a few miles outside of Orange Walk town. His elderly father has been bedridden for several years. Fernandez and his brothers had to assist their parents to make a daring escape by canoe when floodwaters began entering their home.
So we borrowed a canoe from a neighbor for to take out my daddy because he's really sick, he can't walk. Really rough because this is the first time we experienced that. Yeah. A flood like that, though.
It come fast, then it 1 hour time it take for go up, and like 1 hour it gone fast too, it gone down. We start to put up all our things up on the table and start to move, make me not get wet. Also we things, the fridge carry it up, the sofa put it up on top of the chairs. When we see the other things are back, well, it don't get wet, so the washing machine get wet because we never have time for. Meanwhile, we start to move out there and things, the water they go up to.
Lionel Gallego and his family are neighbors with the Fernandezes. Gallego's children sought refuge from the flood on top of bunk bed inside their home.
We stay up there on the bunk bed up there. 4 away. First time I experienced this in this land where I stay right there for 29 years. So I don't know what reason why that happened, because it could be too much over too much rain when come to. I don't know.
I stand on the porch and just watch the water coming and coming and coming, and I could not believe in 2 hours and maybe 30 something minutes how high the water got. I start getting worried. I moved my truck from here in front where it was always parked. I put it on the side, and next thing I hear something, and I look, the gate was gone. And next thing I hear something else, this next little side gate was gone. And I stand out here and I just watch the fence fall. The back fence went first, then this fence, and the amount of water, the height of the water just boiling, coconuts, all sorts of things.
During the flood, Audrey Pine's neighbors helped her with saving chickens from a coop that was about to be washed away by the strong current. In the process of rescuing the chickens, Pine says that the rushing water swept away one of her neighbors who almost drowned.
One of the neighbors almost drowned. I was screaming for the other one to help him, and he was in the chicken house, and with the rain and the thunders and everything, I guess he can't hear me, and I'm just like hoping that he catch on to something, and he managed to get washed over into the other yard, and I guess he kind of hold on to a tree, and the chickens, they were just floating away.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
Late into Sunday night, the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, opened a flood shelter in the village. The team over at NEMO Orange Walk has been on the ground since Sunday afternoon, assessing the damages and needs of the affected households. As for the residents we spoke to in Carmelita, they are pointing to poor drainage and an elevated Philip Golson Highway as factors that contributed to the extraordinary flooding. News 5's Paul Lopez reports.
Apart from the heavy rainfalls that most of the country experienced over the weekend, the residents we spoke with in Carmelita Village also blamed the flooding on poor drainage and an elevated Philip Golson Highway.
It looked like a little bit of something like the drains and need for clean out. Because 29 years I live here and nothing happen like that. But this, when they do this road here, so I think they need to move the dirt right this one, because if they don't move that, maybe that away cost make the water come.
The culvert here is too small, and I think the amount of water that was coming, it couldn't come through fast enough, and it just keep getting higher and higher, and it just, I guess, it saturates the ground because of the pressure and everything else, and the fence fall.
You think the highway have anything to do with it?
I do believe the height of the highway caused the water to run down, and then maybe the drains are not clean enough, and I definitely know this culvert is too small that is here, because I watch it, and the water can't come through fast enough, so the water just keep rising.
These are issues that Victor Polanco, the chairman of Carmelita Village, says were raised with the contractors who recently rehabilitated that portion of the highway which runs through the village.
First of all, it makes me very sad, to know that something like this would have happened, and it happened just rapidly. From what I've heard from the other villagers, that this had never happened before. A lot of was a lot of water coming down, so people were not expecting it.
There are people that are saying that the highway is a contributing factor to the flooding because of its elevated level.
It's something that I think we have addressed it before. We even had a public meeting when the people in charge of doing the highway were here, and I knew that the people or villagers are requesting for better drainage, so I think that's something that can really be looked on, better drainage close to the highway.
When our news team arrived at the NEMO headquarters in Orange Walk Town this morning, Juan Leiva, NEMO's district coordinator in Orange Walk, was preparing to deploy 3 teams into some of the most affected areas to conduct assessments. Selena Sanchez was dealing with logistics in Carmelita Village.
We have noticed that their complete kitchen is destroyed. We saw one in the case that their groceries are destroyed. So our first initial would be to provide them with lunch or some. We have the Baptist Church here in Orange Walk that has called the NEMO office to provide some food. So that is the first step we're going to do for this morning.
Other areas in Orange Walk district that were affected by Sunday's flooding included San Jose, San Pablo, Santa Marta, Trial Farm, and some of the main streets in the town itself. Juan Leiva and his team at NEMO have been on the ground over the last 24 hours.
We did assessment. We had 3 teams out. And based on our assessment, we decided that it would be prudent to open 2 shelters, one at Carmelita and one at San Jose Government School.
Okay, so this is unprecedented, like you've said. How much of it do you think is climate change, and how much do you think is poor civil upkeep of drainage?
I wouldn't say poor upkeep of the drainage. I think the town council in town is doing a good job. But it is more of the people who are not civic-minded anymore. We have lost that civic pride where we decide, I'm walking, I'm eating something, I throw it on the street. And 1, 2, 3 persons throwing things on the street, it accumulates, and that is what causes the drains to clog. In terms of climate change, I think that has a big part of it, because we're seeing things that we have never seen before.
All indications are that a slow-moving tropical wave will continue to affect the country. This will continue to support very wet conditions through to midweek. Leiva says his team is prepared to open additional shelters.
Based on the assessments that will be done, when the people come in, when the team comes in, we're going to set up a plan. Which we did like yesterday. We did one, we decided that we needed 2 shelters open. In this case, if we notice that we might need more shelters open, then that will happen.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
Orange Walk East Area Representative Kevin Bernard says that he was on the ground in several affected villages in his constituency right up until 11 o'clock on Sunday night. As chairman of NEMO Orange Walk, Minister Bernard says that they are actively monitoring the situation, which is expected to get worse over the next few days with another system on the approach.
I was out there late last night assisting people to get their items up on higher ground. We insisted to them that they will need to evacuate. When I checked this morning, many of them still remain in their homes. Water has receded, thankfully, but we are working on the ground. We are very much worried in terms of those villages that are more susceptible to flooding. We are trying to get our people out as early as possible. We're encouraging the people of Santa Marta, especially those in the low-lying areas, to get out early before it's too late. You know, we want to ensure that, as you know, as what they mentioned this morning, it is going to get worse. There's a lot of water coming down, and so we have to ensure that we are preparing ourselves. Shelters have been opened, and we are encouraging people to take advantage, get to the shelters before time. We don't want to be caught. We don't want to be caught in a situation where we're unable to get out and then it becomes worse. We are getting the support of the Ministry of Infrastructure Development. I want to thank them for indeed. As you know, NEMO is comprised of many other units, not just the Ministry of Infrastructure, but they have been playing a significant, a very important role in getting equipments out in the area with limited resources, limited equipment, but we are getting there on the ground trying to address these problems as early as possible. And I'm not only speaking for my constituency, but I know that for the entire Orange Walk district and Corozal district, I understand, they have been on the ground and across the country addressing these issues. The effects seems to be more up north, and so the concentration is in that area.
In the wake of flooding, there are concerns as it relates to health hazards such as vector-borne diseases and water contamination, not to mention COVID protocols at shelters for those being housed at these facilities. Director of Public Health and Wellness, Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa, says that the ministry remains alert and is proactively making sure that all these concerns remain addressed.
We have a very strong emergency response team in place. We're part of the EOC as well, nationally. And we have been preparing and we know how to respond, and we try to mitigate prior to things like this happening. But we do know that with climate change, with the effects of global warming, storms and severity of storms will get worse. And for that reason, we prepare as best as possible. Just before the hurricane season, we have our multi-hazard plan in place at all health facilities. I know that they have opened up some places that people can go in order, if the homes have been flooded, and those areas are usually manned by somebody from the Ministry of Health as well, where we take in pharmaceuticals, we give educational talks as well. And with COVID, we've got to ensure that, you know, there is the spacing, there is the mask mandate in place. If anybody is ill, we try to pull them out as early as possible. When it comes to the vector-borne illnesses, Belize, we have been doing quite well, especially with malaria. Compared to many other countries. As you may know, we have recorded 3 full years of having 0 cases locally, and we're in the process at this point to get a formal assessment from WHO to be declared malaria-free. When it comes to dengue, definitely this is something that we are monitoring. We've got to ensure that, you know, we, as best as possible, do a lot of education with the prevention. We still are doing the residual spraying, the larvicidin, everything that's needed, and that will be increased right now with the flooding as well. Just to remind the general public, as best as possible, to, you know, keep your yards as remove any kind of debris, dirt, anything that holds water.
A portion of the Crooked Tree Village causeway was underwater this evening. Earlier this month, we spoke to one resident who voiced concern after the causeway was flooded following a night of rainfall. Well, the past weekend's low-pressure system once again revealed the plight of these residents during the rainy season. And as rains persist across the country, the greater concern is that residents may soon be faced with a causeway that is impassable by vehicle or traffic. We will continue to follow. After the break, Ministry of Health says COVID numbers will return to pre-Omicron levels by mid-July, despite raging numbers. Details when we return.
Make we one house at a time, make we count for the 2022 census. One house at a time, make we count, work towards the future. Everybody count. We need information and your cooperation. Everybody in the Belize population. Mommy, daddy pick me on the senior section. Plus we need help from the youth population. From all over, we need data to measure development in every area, every aspect in the Belize and culture. 88, 67, every border. Make we count for the 2022 census. One house at a time, make we count. We work towards the future, everybody count.
The 2022 Population and Housing Census. Participate, respond, be counted.
Belize Tropical Hemp Company Limited introduces its new CBD products. CBD milk chocolate and CBD dark chocolate. Vegan, gluten-free with no GMO. CBD oil, 100% natural, provides many health benefits such as relieving pain and anxiety and improved heart health. Hemp cigarettes come in a pack of 10 natural hemp smokables. CBD seaweed, natural and refreshing, rich in vitamins and minerals. All products are produced and packaged by Belize Tropical Hemp Company Limited.
The government of Belize has been blazing a trail and delivering on every milestone of its tax reform program. Iris Belize was launched in 2021 and its second phase is here in 2022. It provides taxpayers and or their representatives with the ability to sign up for Iris Belize. You'll now be able to inquire, file, and pay online. This means that tax clients like you are able to sign up online and get access to individual and companies' tax accounts. No more long lines. Contactless, safe, from support, from the privacy and safety of your homes and offices.
Welcome to Design Depot. All in one place. Shop brands you know and trust, like Kohler. Welcome, GE Appliances.
Welcome.
Oran Windows.
Welcome.
Tiles from around the world.
Welcome.
Sherwin-Williams Paint and Coating. Visit us today at Mile 3 on the Philip Golson Highway or call us at 223-3768. Design Depot. All in one place.
Download the SmartStream app on the Android Play Store and create your account to get access to movies and stream at home or on the go. Prepaid customers can purchase regular data packages or get a discounted rate on a special SmartStream package by dialing 7737. Postpaid customers will be billed monthly. Never miss a movie again with SmartStream.
Energy and entertainment back to Tuesday nights. It's time for the return of KTV The Remix. We're looking for new talent for this year's competition. Auditions will be held at Channel 5 Studios in Belize City on June 25th and 26th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You must be 16 years or older. Bring your best voice and come TV ready.
The National Emergency Management Organization's response teams have been activated countrywide as more rains are expected to affect the country throughout the rest of the week. NEMO's latest advisory indicates that a slow-moving tropical wave is affecting the country. This comes after a low-pressure system caused severe flooding in northern Belize over the weekend. Reporters spoke with Shelton DeFore, the National Emergency Coordinator at NEMO, via Zoom this morning.
We were monitoring an area of low pressure that
gradually moved up from over the southwestern Caribbean Sea. Late last week, the system moved across Nicaragua and eastern Honduras and emerged into the Gulf of Honduras around Thursday or Friday of last week, and then recurved to the west and northwest, crossing Belize on Saturday, or Saturday this last weekend. The system was being monitored for tropical cyclone development. However, that did not materialize. However, as we had mentioned previously, the area of low pressure, even though it was not likely to develop, was likely to produce intense rainfall activity across the country. As I did mention, the system crossed us on Saturday. The rains started as early as Thursday of last week ahead of the system, and it continued through the weekend, I think peaking around Saturday into Sunday, which was yesterday. Preliminary information from our network of automatic weather stations indicate that the heaviest rainfall occurred over the Corozal and Orange Walk districts, where some stations recorded as high as 10 to around 13 inches of rainfall within the 3-day period from Friday into Sunday. Those rainfalls, as you would know by now, has created some flooding over parts of the Orange Walk and Corozal districts. The forecast going forward is that the conditions will remain very moist or very wet, to put it in that term, and very unstable for the next few days. We have a tropical wave, which is near us and moving very slowly, so that system will continue to dump heavy rainfall across the country.
As we told you, the rains will continue. According to the National Meteorological Service, the tropical wave will continue to support wet conditions. A flood warning remains in effect for Corozal and Orange Walk districts, while a flood watch is in effect for the rest of the country. Chief Meteorologist Ronald Gordon tells us more.
Since last night, when we sent out the advisory following up on the hydrology reports of potential flooding in terms of their flood forecast, monitoring the Met Department weather report, we recognize that, the situation warranted more NEMO's intervention based on what was happening, and so we activated NEMO to a full operational state, as was coordinated by the ministry operational group with the minister and the CEO, where they were in communication with all the area reps in terms of the concerns, the need to protect people, public safety, get people in a safe place. And so from that point until now, the weather has subsided a lot in terms of the rainfall amounts, but notwithstanding, the Chief Met did state that we now have to brace for additional 2 to 3 inches of rain per day. So NEMO across the country is fully activated. In view of the ongoing risk from rainfall, we recognize that it would have been best to advise the Ministry of Education to not have classes today, due to the fact that more rainfall and flooding is likely to take place.
COVID numbers continue to climb, with over 200 active cases identified daily over the last few weeks. There have been minimal hospitalization and little to no deaths recorded due to recent positive cases. While the latest Omicron variant is the dominant strain in country, today the media asked Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa, Director of Public Health and Wellness, about the spiraling numbers and how the ministry intends to address the situation.
There's definitely continued transmission in Belize of COVID-19. The numbers continue to go up as is expected, with especially a variant like Omicron, which we know is extremely more transmissible than the original variant. And of course, we don't have a lot of public health measures in place at this point. And people basically are not feeling as unwell as they did with Delta and with the original variant. All these things are factors that impact what we do, how we move about, whether we we ensure that we utilize our mask, whether we ensure that we are vaccinated, all these things play a part in that. And I believe that that's the main issue at this point. When you look at Omicron, though, we also need to monitor hospitalizations. And we know that our hospitalizations are quite low. And we also know that the case fatality rate has been reduced significantly, which means that the number of people dying directly as a result of COVID compared to the number who have COVID is very low. Having said that, it's very important that any infectious disease is controlled, because we don't only look at mortality rate, we look at how it affects our economy, how it affects you personally. We don't know as yet the long-term effects of COVID, even if you're asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic. Research is still ongoing with that. So the Ministry of Health and Wellness, we strongly recommend that you continue with your measures, you continue to protect your vulnerable population, ensure that especially the elderly, people with comorbidities, continue to be protected. If you are sick, whether you think that it's because of some other reason, still take precaution, because we don't want any sort of, even if it's, upper respiratory tract infection, a flu, we don't want that to be spreading either. So it's important to still keep in mind what we need to do to reduce the spread.
The rollout of pediatric Pfizer vaccinations continues across the country as healthcare professionals headed to schools to administer at least the first jab to children 5 to 11 years old. The vaccine is not mandatory, and while there is some hesitancy at all levels of COVID vaccinations, 69.8% of the target population has been inoculated. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is encouraging parents to get themselves, vulnerable persons within their households, and their children vaccinated.
We are still optimistic that by the September 2022, we will be able to achieve our targeted goal of 70% inoculation by the end of September 2022. And so we're hoping and encouraging people to take advantage. Vaccination sites are announced all over the country, at schools, at the hospitals. We want to encourage our people to get vaccinated. For those who are still hesitant, there's a lot of information on the benefits of the vaccine.
At this point that schools are closing, we're depending on the parents to come in so that the child can get that second dose. It's available. We have a lot of pediatric vaccines, and we want to improve and encourage the uptake of this vaccine as quickly as possible. It helps us as a country as well to ensure that we are protected from severe and hospitalizations and severe disease, and from death as well from COVID-19 if you're vaccinated. Our numbers show that for the targeted population, we have 69.8% of our targeted population vaccinated. Of course, as with many other things, you would have people who would not agree and would voice that. The vaccine is not a mandatory vaccine. We have not forced anybody to take the vaccine, and even with that, we've had 69.8% of persons vaccinated. Now for the pediatric dose, it's slower than initially, and there are many factors that can contribute to that, like the mildness of the symptoms, persons moving on. It has been 2 years now that we've been battling with COVID. So it is something that we keep going out, doing our outreach, doing our education at one-on-one level, at the schools, educating principals, teachers, and parents, and we are seeing the effects of that work that we've put in prior to rolling out the pediatric vaccines.
Today at the Biltmore Plaza in Belize City, a closing ceremony was held for a project funded by the government of Japan. It was a project for enhancing the healthcare system through the provision of medical equipment to the government of Belize, particularly the Ministry of Health and Wellness. News 5's Dwayne Moody files this report.
Over $875,000 US in medical equipment was handed over to the Ministry of Health and Wellness to improve the healthcare system of the country. From emergency carts to infusion pumps, mechanical ventilators, mobile x-rays, and more, the donation was accepted by Health and Wellness Minister Kevin Bernard.
Over the past 15 months, we've been working with UNOPS and through the Embassy of Japan, where we have handed over several equipments, over 170 equipments, health-related, that included the ambulance and the list that I mentioned earlier this morning. How this benefit the country is that it improves the service delivery to our residents, to our Belizeans.
The Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs from Japan was in country for the handing over. He spoke of the bilateral ties with Belize as well as the significance of the donation.
We will continue to support WHO, such these international organizations, as well as strengthening a relationship bilaterally, and so that we can prevent the infection diseases and also strengthen medical and systems, and also not just that, we will continue to support areas such as education or wellness of people.
Mr. Barnard says that the equipment has been distributed to health facilities across the country.
In one of the villages in Punta Gorda, their cry was that we need an ambulance. Immediately we identified through the donation that one of those ambulances had to go to that area. So we were able to get that ambulance to the Isabella Palma Polyclinic. And likewise in other areas as well. I mean, the donation of the X-ray machines, the mobile X-ray ultrasound machine is to benefit, because people want these services to be able to address the health system at KHMH and other facilities. I mean, it means a lot to us, and I want to offer again on behalf of all of us, and our government, our greatest appreciation for the generosity expressed here today and for the support that we have gotten over the last 50 months through the Embassy of Japan.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
When we return, several police officers, including WPC Stephanie Patton and WPC Alicia Trapp, are facing disciplinary tribunal for various offenses. But first, here's the weather forecast with data from the Belize Met Service.
Save some money. After 75 years in the business, nobody do it like Benny's. Hello, how may I help you? Anything you need, we got you. Whether it tools or tiles, lights and fans, we are serving with a smile. Genuine plumbing and electric supply, quality construction supply, heating and air condition, 100% Belizean. Benny's, celebrating 75 years. Quality and savings. Quality and savings. Benny's, celebrating 75 years. Quality and savings. Quality and savings. Benny's, celebrating 75 years. Quality and savings. Quality and savings.
My name is Wilmer De La Rosa from Santa Elena Town. I am currently a student at Cayo, set for employment training. Enrolled in the electrical installation program. In late July 2021, I got a confirmation that I was a successful applicant and would be granted a scholarship from Social Security Board. It was one of the proudest moments for me. I felt very excited to start this new path in my life. So far on my journey as a Social Security Board scholar, my vocational technical scholarship has assisted me in achieving my life goals in so many ways. For one, it has renewed sense of purpose, another chance at professional development, and a start at a new career. This opportunity has paved the way for me to excel in life as an individual and as a member of society. Great things are coming after I graduate from SET. I can promise you that. Applying for a vocational technical scholarship through the Social Security Board is simple and easy. I would advise young people in need to apply. It is possible to create a fulfilling and fruitful life with a Social Security scholarship. Believe in yourself, on your abilities and skills. I always say, the key is to always keep an open mind and let your determination be your motivation.
¿Sabías que Hospital Galenia modificó los protocolos de seguridad y prevención de salud ante la pandemia de COVID-19 para evitar contagios?
Garantizamos contener a los pacientes que allí estamos manejando y disminuir riesgos de infecciones para el resto del hospital.
Hospital Galenia, más que un hospital.
Reusable plastics. Did you know that until we find an alternative for plastic and all its uses, we will continue to need plastics, such as in the health sector? Plastic becomes a huge problem for Belize when it becomes waste and is improperly disposed of. When it is thrown on the side of the road and in our rivers and seas, it's eaten by animals and in turn by people, and it becomes an environmental and health issue. It costs us money for disposal, filling up dumps and landfills, and paying for associated healthcare. So what can you do? Choose to refuse single-use plastics is step 1. Step 2, instead, use the plastics that were meant to be reused, like coffee cups, water bottles, and food containers. We're not talking about buying a $1 bottle of water. I mean, you can, but how long will that last you? Reusable plastics keep plastics out of the environment for a much longer time and are even better than other forms of plastics like biodegradable or even compostable or bio-based plastics. By reusing, you are also saving money since you aren't rebuying the same thing over again. Think about it. How many bottles of water do you buy every week? How much does that cost compared to the cost of a reusable bottle? Imagine what you can do with the extra money. Click on the link below to see what you can do to help end the nightmare of single-use plastics. I'm Alison Castillo, and now you know.
A police pickup truck exploded in flames in the small hours of this morning in Benque Viejo. A pair of officers was on patrol in a wingle and were driving along Syed Musa Street when they heard a loud noise coming from the engine. The driver immediately stopped the vehicle, but before they could have removed their firearms, the pickup was up in flames. Assistant Superintendent Fitzroy Yearwood tells us more.
Benque Viejo police reported that on Monday, the 20th of June, 2022, at 1:40 a.m., while PC Sacaracos and Luis Carrado left the station in a red police wingo pickup bearing license plate 3392. They were driving when the driver heard a loud bang. He said that he immediately stopped the vehicle. Where he exited, he was somewhere on Syed Musa Street. He's saying that when he popped the hood, no fire was seen. So he got back in the vehicle. When they got back in the vehicle, he saw fire coming from somewhere around the glove compartment. He's saying that they then exited the vehicle with a little time because the vehicle then exploded, where it landed on a wooden structure that was not too far from the street. At the end, by the time that the fire department showed up and extinguished the fire, two of our police issued Smith & Wesson firearm were destroyed by fire, one bearing serial number 0447 and the other BV025. The remains, the frame of these firearms that weren't burned were found in that vehicle, so we can confirm that yes, they did burn in the fire.
A child was electrocuted in Mascal village over the weekend. The incident is being investigated by the Belize Police Department, and details of what transpired, based on the account given to investigators, are being reviewed. Here's what Communications Director Fitzroy Yearwood told reporters earlier today.
And with the 6-year-old that was electrocuted, he was at the neighbor's house playing, and the mother and father were at home when they heard a loud scream. They're saying that when they went over there, they saw the mother of the house holding the baby in her hand, where she explained that he put some sort of wire into an outlet. The baby was rushed to the Carpushna Memorial Hospital, but was pronounced dead. When our investigators went to the scene, this wire that was allegedly used was found somewhere at the back of the house. One, we are investigating why they removed something that they claimed may have cost this child his life. And so for me to go in depth, I would have to get their final findings sometime today, and then I can relay that to you.
She was hauled before the court last week after her peers conducted a raid of her house in Orange Walk and allegedly found a stash of guns and ammunition, among other illegally kept items. Today, head of the Belize Police Department's Professional Standards Branch, Senior Superintendent Calbert Flowers, told the media via a Zoom interview that Constable Stephanie Patton is one of several police officers who are going before disciplinary tribunals within the department.
Internally, she has already been written to. She has been served with a notice of complaint and has been served with a letter for her to give an explanation, after which disciplinary charges will be followed. She will definitely be charged internally and will be facing a tribunal for this matter. No doubt about it.
And everyone will remember Constable Alicia Trapp, who took to Facebook 3 Sundays ago to blast her area representative, Minister Julius Espat, for an exchange over the village council elections in which she felt he verbally abused her. Since then, she lawyered up, and both her and Espat have drawn their lines in the sand. She wants the police to charge him, and he wants her to apologize, none of which has happened. Today, Senior Superintendent Flowers informed that she too has been served with a notice of complaint and a letter giving her a chance to explain her actions, that of breaching the police department's social media policy. Meanwhile, another member of the department who is attached to the Corzal police station will also be dealt with internally. Constable Sabas Williams will also be charged for breach of the police department's social media policy. And Senior Superintendent Flowers said that there are several videos that have been taken off social media that will be used as evidence against her. Williams has since been placed on suspension, as this is not the first time that she is before a tribunal for the same offense. Flowers notified that all police members are aware of the social media policy because it is written on their manual. Regarding the incident in April at the municipal airstrip in Belize City, where one of 2 police officers allegedly assaulted a tour guide while being recorded on a cell phone, Senior Superintendent Flowers said the officer was placed on interdiction and the investigation is ongoing. But he explained that the department is having problems because the virtual complainant has, for whatever reason, not been cooperative with investigators.
The person in that video, who would have been the complainant, that person refused to cooperate with us. He refused to give us a statement, but we are still dealing with this officer by the use of the video. He will be going before a disciplinary tribunal, and we will try to use that video content to present in order to get a conviction. We will try, hopefully we can get a conviction using the video. However, it is very difficult because the person involved is not coming forward. He came forward initially, but he refused to give us a statement. This is the first time that we will attempt to introduce a video without a complainant statement. We used to introduce video, but of course with a virtual complainant, a complainant statement. But in this particular matter, it will be more challenging because we do not have a statement.
Just ahead, from Ghana to Belize, an enterprising woman teaches how to make soap.
When all hope is lost and the days ahead look grim, we find ourselves looking for someone to shake things up, rescue us, and point us in the right direction. What if the one we've been waiting for has been here all along? Join us for our new series, Troublemaker, as we learn about a man who wasn't afraid to stand up for what's right to make this world a better place.
¿Sabías que Hospital Galenia modificó los protocolos de seguridad y prevención de salud ante la pandemia de COVID-19 para evitar contagios?
Creamos un concepto que denominamos quirófano santuario no COVID.
Hospital Galenia, más que un hospital.
Standing over this. Messi.
Great entertainment stays with you, and we bring you great entertainment. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Marion Ali, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes. Go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
My name is Kenrick, and I live in Belize City, and I am employed as an agent for a company that does reservations for hotels from all over the world. Since amputation, my life has changed minimally. Yes, I don't have my legs to get around, but I have always been an active person. So I do things a little bit more deliberate, a little bit more slower maybe, but I still get it done. Let's say they say we're going to some restaurant, wherever. I need to call and say, do you have access for a wheelchair? And they say, yes, of course. Then I would ask the second question, can I get into your restroom with a wheelchair? And then 99% of the time they'll say no. I would like to encourage everybody who has a disability to not give up. Never, 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 ever give up.
Live and let live. Respect for all Belizeans.
Always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
It was nomination day this past Sunday at Epiarch High School for persons contesting the village council elections on Keycocker to officially submit their names. And as News 5 found out over the weekend, there are 3 full slates that will go head-to-head. A UDP aligned slate, a POP1, and then an independent slate headed by the incumbent chairlady Selene Villanueva Pott. Now, there is no secret that the Villanuevas are supporters of the People United Party. But despite requests for support from the area representative, Villanueva Pot says that she has had to run independent once again, this time with a complete slate.
I had initially, looking for an endorsement from my area rep, but the people said, maybe it's best that you go independent. Living on Keycocker, we've never seen a political slate, and I decided that I will stay with what I know, so I opted for an independent slate.
Let's talk about not getting that support from the area, because you had said that, you would run again if you got that support.
Going through COVID, which was long and hard, leadership under COVID for anybody in leadership position was hard. And, I believe at that point, maybe my spirits were dampened, and, I didn't want to look for a challenge. But after consultation again with the people of Keycocker, I decided that, we could do this, with or without an endorsement, and I opted to listen to the people, and so that's why I decided to go independent, yes.
Following this term that you're coming out of, how confident are you that you can win?
I will tell you what I tell everyone. I believe that I worked hard for my community. COVID changed everything. A lot of the projects that we wanted to accomplish, unfortunately, we couldn't. But we know, and I know that during the time when my community needed me the most, I was there. Having a health background, I believe, was of paramount importance to my community. Leading in the unknown, it was scary. No, the world didn't know what was happening, and to have the health background you provide some level of security for my Keycocker community, and we did what we needed to do to ensure that we were okay. I believe that I worked hard, not yesterday, not today, but the entire 6 years that I've been in council, so the people will ultimately decide what they want.
The slate goes by slogan, Generation Keycocker, resilient and strong, advocating for all. The lesson at hand is not to make anything edible, but rather how to clean your plate after you eat. These citizens hail from all over Belize. For the next 3 weeks, 50 of them will be attending a course at the Belmopan Civic Center to learn how to make liquid soap, as well as bathing soap. The training comes as a result of the need for people to generate economic revenues from something almost everyone uses in the kitchen and in the bathroom.
The lesson at hand is not to make anything edible, but rather how to clean your plate after you eat. These citizens hail from all over Belize, and for the next 3 weeks, 50 of them will be attending a course at the Belmopan City Council to learn how to make liquid soap as well as bathing soap. The training comes as a result of the need for people to generate economic revenues from something almost everyone uses in the kitchen and in the bathroom.
After inheriting what I inherited at City Hall, which I keep on saying nothing, I had to come up with what I call the creative economy and find out what I can do for people. Because when you become the leader, there's a lot of responsibilities, and continuously at City Hall I have people making requests, and all of it has to do with finances, and I don't have that.
Teaching the course is Fatima Sarah, a respected entrepreneur from Jador, Ghana.
I happened to meet Madam Sharon Palacio back in Ghana, and then she told me about what she wants to do for the young women in Belize. And then she came to where I was teaching, and then she saw the work I'm doing, and she asked me if I could come to her to Belize to help. And I'm working with this my partners at African City Council, so they decided to sponsor me to come here and then help Madam Sharon help the young women with this skill.
So you'll be here for 3 weeks teaching this skill?
Yes, please.
And when you are using it in the liquid form,
okay, 70 grams for the powder.
70 grams, yes.
And if you're going to use liquid,
liquid, let's make it 80. Because most of the time, the liquid is not that strong.
Petrona Cholom and Joel Chacon both plan to convert their learning experiences into that creative economy that Mayor Sharon Palacio spoke of.
As I get the main ideas of it, well, I am looking forward to make a little business so that I could be able to post either a flyer or on social medias, and so that others could get to know about my products.
I am somebody that I always open to learning new stuff, and I think soap making is a very interesting area where we could actually do a great difference here in the country of Belize. And I have always wanted to learn something like soap making because it's a slight different idea that I had in that section where there is too much imports coming from outside, and we need to start exporting stuff from Belize itself.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Marion Ali.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.